Greetings, booktubers, and welcome back to Grammaticus Books. And today we're talking about Arm of the Sphinx, Book 2 in the tetralogy by Josiah Bancroft, in the Books of Babel, the Tower of Babel series. And we're going to answer the question by the end of this video, is this the perfect fantasy novel? Is it the 10 out of 10? Or is this that one subpar book in this tetralogy that I've talked about in the first book in this series, which was Senlin Ascends? And by the end of this video, we'll answer that question. Is this the 10 out of 10? Is this the heights of achievement here in the tetralogy? Or is this in the basement? Is this that one book that failed to meet the standard, the level of the other three? But if you haven't seen my video on the first one, Senlin Ascends, I highly encourage you to go back and check that one out first. I will link it down in the description below. Click on that link, check out that video, and then come back and watch this video here on Arm of the Sphinx. Now, going forward, there will be some spoilers, both on Senlin Ascends and on Arm of the Sphinx, so you've been warned. What I'm going to do is I'll wrap up again just very quickly what happened in Senlin Ascends, and then we'll go into the plot of Arm of the Sphinx, and then I'll tell you what I think about it, and then we'll give you that conclusion. Is this the perfect book, the 10 out of 10, or is this the subpar book in the tetralogy? But Senlin Ascends, just a quick background review. Our main protagonist, Thomas Senlin, has entered the Tower of Babel on his honeymoon, but he has lost his wife, his beautiful wife, Maria, who is somewhere in the tower, and he is now searching through this massive tower that extends all the way up into the atmosphere, into the clouds, trying to find his beautiful wife. And he is a duck out of water. He is completely ill-prepared mentally and emotionally and physically for this challenge. He's a mild-mannered, ineffectual man of letters who cannot deal with and is not equipped to deal with the tower. But by the end of the book, he has transformed himself into a man of action, and he has also collected a cast of characters about him to assist him in his task. And at the very end of Senlin Ascends, he and this cast of characters, they have taken over, commandeered one of the airships that goes in and out of the tower with commerce and trade, warships and tourist ships. They've commandeered one of these ships, the Stone Cloud, and they have exited the tower. But by doing so, they have made an enemy of one of the most powerful people in the tower, in the Kingdom of Pelphia, and that is the Commissar, and now he is pursuing them in his own massive airship called the Ararat. And that's where you leave off with Senlin Ascends, and that's where this Arm of the Sphinx picks up. So now I'm going to read you guys the back blurb to this, just to get you, as a primer, to get you going on Arm of the Sphinx. The Tower of Babel is proving to be as difficult to re-enter as it was to break out of. Forced into a life of piracy, Senlin and his eclectic crew struggle to survive aboard their stolen airship as the hunt to rescue Senlin's lost wife continues. Hopeless and desolate, they turn to a whispered legend, the mysterious Sphinx. But help from the Sphinx never comes cheaply, and as Senlin knows, debts aren't always what they seem. Time is running out, and now Senlin must choose between his friends, his freedom, and his wife. Does anyone truly escape the tower? And that's a great intro to the Arm of the Sphinx. They have gotten out of the tower, but they haven't truly escaped because he needs to get back into the tower now in order to continue the hunt for his wife. And being a pirate and trying to get back into the tower has just made his life more complicated. And they are forced into this life of piracy. And so the book at this point transforms into this steampunk airship piracy novel with all this action going on. And it's wonderful. It's great to read about. But as they are trying to get back into the tower, they are pursued and eventually caught in an engagement by the Commissar. In that engagement, their ship is heavily damaged, and Senlin and his crew come to realize that they have to turn to the Sphinx, the mysterious Sphinx, this wizard-like being that lives in the tower, in order to help them with their quest. But they know that that's going to come at a price. One of his crew, Edith, with whom he's starting to develop a romantic relationship, which is kind of problematic when you're searching for your lost wife. Edith has already had one of her arms replaced by the Sphinx when she lost it in book 1 because it was branded and became gangrenous. And then Thomas meets her later in the book. She comes on to his crew and becomes his first mate. So she knows of the Sphinx, and she knows how to get them to the Sphinx. And you have this quest then to get to the Sphinx so that the Sphinx can assist them in their quest to find his wife. And during this, they go into various levels of the tower. You have more of the Kingdom of Pelphia. They go into the Silk Gardens, which were just a Garden of Eden when the tower was at its height, but now it is decayed It's decrepit. It has descended into a completely chaotic state. It is completely overgrown, and it is deadly but beautiful all at the same time. And they also find themselves in the Golden Zoo, which just is this bizarre zoo that has been constructed with all these fantastical creatures in it. And it's a marvel to read about as well. And the lair of the Sphinx is equally marvelous when they get to it. The cast of characters is further developed. They pick up new characters in the lair of the Sphinx, and you get a lot of focus here in the Arm of the Sphinx, not only on the main protagonist, Senlin, but you get a lot of focus on the crew, and they can start getting their own individual story arcs, stories, mysteries, and plot hooks tied in with the crew members, and that's very enjoyable to read about as well. So at the end of the book, they have made it to the Sphinx. They're dealing with the Sphinx, and the Sphinx does make a deal with them to become the arm of the Sphinx. She agrees to help them, but they have to help them in order by helping the Sphinx, he, she, her, or it. You don't know what the Sphinx is, it's a mystery. In their quest to solve a problem that they have with a political development that is going on within the tower. And so they agree to help the Sphinx to become the arm of the Sphinx. And you have Edith, who actually has the arm of the Sphinx, already attached to her. So again, you get this double meaning with the title of the book that is very well done. It's another great title, just like Senlin Ascends had a double meaning. Very well done here by Josiah Bancroft. And there's a mystery reveal at the end of the book as well. So that is the main plot of the book. The steampunk continues, the world building continues, the characters continue developing, you get new characters. Is it good though? That is the question we're going to answer now. Is it good? How is the writing? How was the writing, which when Senlin Ascends, the first one was fantastic. How is it here in Arm of the Sphinx? I'm happy to report it is wonderful. It is equally wonderful. It continues unabated. Josiah Bancroft can just write so smoothly and so beautifully. He has fantastic dialogue. His action is fast and gripping. It's great to read about. It's perfect for this air piracy steampunk theme that he has going on throughout the novel here. And the writing is just wonderful. The characters continue to develop. Thomas Senlin has a fantastic character arc in the first book, Senlin Ascends, and his character arc continues here. And then you get all of this wonderful focus on all the supporting cast as you get their back histories and their character plots and their mysteries that get revealed. And you get these two new characters that are added in that are equally wonderful. And the characters here, what I really loved about them, what I thought really made this book work exceptionally well, along with everything else in this book, is the characters are so unique. These are new character types that you're seeing in this book in this new world, and you have the sense of discovery that you had in Senlin Ascends that continues here in Arm of the Sphinx. And that's one of the things about this whole tetralogy that really just made it stand out, is it's new, it's original, it's engaging. It is a realm undreamt of, I think they would say, if this was the Median Chronicles. And it's just wonderful as a reader to get that breath of fresh air, that sense of wonderment out of reading that is so hard to find these days. The plot's fantastic. You have the overarching plot of Senlin trying to find the woman of his dreams, his wife that he's married. And then you have all these subplots working in as well. And at the end of this, you have another overarching plot about political turmoil that is developing within the tower that's going to become more prominent in the future novels. Also, the world building continues. You have more of Pelphia, you have more of the lower ringdoms. You get the Silk Gardens, which are just this deadly but beautiful place that they're in, with all of these monsters that have now converted into it and taken it over. You have the Golden Zoo, which is just bizarre but wonderful. So the world building is equally good. And then we get to the pacing. The pacing in Senlin Ascends was a little slow. It was my one knock on Senlin Ascends and why I rated it an 8.5 and a 9 and didn't rate it higher. So how is the pacing in Arm of the Sphinx? Well, I'm happy to report the pacing is perfect. It is on the money. Josiah Bancroft slows down and takes his time where he needs to take his time, and then he kicks it right back up where the plot and the pacing needs to get faster. So you've got this perfectly timed roller coaster of hills of action moving fast, slowing down a little bit in order to develop it and build a little bit, and then picks it right up, and the pacing is right on the money. So what is my conclusion overall here for the Arm of the Sphinx? Well, I think it's no surprise by my demeanor and my outlook on it here throughout the course of this video. This is the perfect fantasy novel. I absolutely loved it. It's a 10 out of 10. I recommend it without any hesitation. Senlin Ascends and Arm of the Sphinx, wonderful, wonderful books. And I give this the perfect score, the 10 out of 10. I love this novel. It is a fantastic high fantasy novel. If you like high fantasy, you will like this book. I can virtually guarantee it. And let me read just one thing out of the inside book here about the Arm of the Sphinx to conclude it up here and wrap it up. And it'll give you a little bit of a flavor of the writing, and it also lets you in a little bit about the Arm of the Sphinx. Senlin saw the hole in the balloon and experienced a moment of terror so intense it felt like euphoria. They were going to drop from the sky like a shot bird. But even as he watched, the gash sealed itself as some second skin, some internal membrane pressed against the tear. A moment later, they were out of range of the lead soldiers, and the barrage abruptly stopped. They rose upon a gentle vent of air. The ship felt almost motionless. The sky was serene. They stood up and patted themselves for signs of blood or protruding bones, but discovered neither. Well, that was lucky, Senlin said, straightening his cuffs with shaking hands. Balloons don't usually patch themselves, do they? No, Edith said, kneeling to examine the ragged divot that had been blown into the ship's starboard edge. Valletta, Erin, get these ridiculous sheets off our ship. Senlin inspected the drab-colored balloon overhead with a fresh eye. A self-sealing envelope. It seems a remarkable fixture for a barge like this. One of the Sphinx's inventions. Billy Lee traded for it. Edith stood and kicked a portion of the broken deck into the abyss. Traded what? An arm, she said. And it's her arm that got traded, that was in on that deal. And there's a fantastic villain in this book as well that I haven't discussed. I will discuss the villain more in book 3 when I talk about book 3 in the coming weeks. I'm going to finish the whole tetralogy here. The villain is one of my favorite villains. And the villain has a character arc as well that is every bit as engaging and as extensive as the other character arcs in here. It's just another mark as to why this is such a fantastic tetralogy here by Josiah Bancroft. But which book will be the substandard book? It's not 1, it's not 2. So it's either book 3, the Hod King, or it's book 4, the Fall of Babel. You'll have to tune in to find out. And with that, I'm going to wrap this one up and say take care, be safe, and I'll catch you guys next time.